Right. Welcome to I'm Open,
I'm
episode
I'm
3.
open.
I'm open.
We're open. We changed up the order of things this time. We're going to try to go faster, see if we get a listener maybe. Let's do it.
Can you check how many
so-
listeners we get?
I don't because I don't want to be sad. But
All right.
maybe this time we'll get one. So this game already happened. I just threw it on there so we could quickly discuss. I think the key takeaway here is Ottawa only had 5 break opportunities, which is really bad. Like most of their numbers are fine, but their defense just wasn't doing anything that they needed it to do.
Tough.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest draw of this game is that it was the All Canada matchup, which I just found cool, but I didn't watch it, so that's kind of the only insight I have. I'm really confused about how good Montreal is. I just cannot tell at all. They're definitely not great, but I just can't tell if they're all right.
My take is that every AUDL team has really good players. So when you watch any given team, even the even the team that loses, you're watching and you're still impressed. You're like, oh yeah, this is a good team. And I don't know. And then you see that the Cascades are 0-5 or whatever. It's just every team.
1-5. Come on,
1-5. My bad.
Yeah.
I think every team is good, and you'll watch it and you'll walk away. And if you didn't know the score, if you only tuned in for 1 or 2 points, it'll be okay, yeah, cool. But there's a cream of the crop, and then there's
sure.
But I think the Royals are solid. I've watched them against Empire, and I was okay. Yeah. And that they lost, but I was this is not a bad team.
For sure. Let's jump right into our speed round, and we'll work some tier talk into this since everyone seems to love the tier list.
Oh yeah, the fans have been eating it up. You got to give the people what they want. You gotta feed the beast.
So a lot of these games are a lot of these games are a really good team versus a not so good team. So let's just go in order. How about Madison versus Pittsburgh? Does anyone want to advocate for Pittsburgh?
Maybe they get some Pitt players back.
No, doesn't matter.
Yeah, nothing. I just feel a lot of these matchups, because we're expecting a result already, it's going to be tough to move anyone either up or down based on a result.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Especially
in these games.
Yeah, this game, the Flyers and Dallas game, I would expect the Flyers to win that pretty easily, and they're already at the max tier, so they can't move anywhere unless something crazy happens.
Okay,
I've got a buddy on the Dallas Legion I'm trying to get on the pod. So Brooks Wallace,
nice.
if you're listening, please come here. And good luck, but I think Carolina is going to win.
Brooks, I think you guys are going to give him a hell of a fight. Please come on the pod. I think we can look on this whole left column, and I'm seeing, Madison's probably going to win. Flyers, I like Shred, and I like Hustle. Is there anything else we need to say about those?
I think it's really funny. Really. Oakland has to play Salt Lake and the Summit.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's a tough little duo.
Good luck.
I think the Tampa Bay Canyons, this could be. No, I'm just kidding. They're gonna get blown out of the water.
They're gonna
get we should have a new tier at the bottom for the Cannons.
Yeah, their own tier. That's sad. So wait, they lost to Pittsburgh at home last week.
Yeah.
Is that what happened? Yeah, tough.
Yeah, we talked about how home games, and they just can't even pull a game off against Pittsburgh there.
Actually, there was a stat that came out. I don't know if it was Daniel Cohen or someone, but it said that I think it was Lepler. Road teams. Was it just this year that road teams have the slight advantage?
I think that's what you sent. Yeah, that's
crazy.
It's really interesting.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Are we good on the left column? Anything else?
I just wanted to say that I think the Hustle are a potential S tier team one of these weeks, but again, this game is not where they're going to earn that, so it's kind of disappointing. They don't have a better game, honestly.
Yeah,
but we can move on.
What would they have to do to get up into the S tier for you?
Play a good team.
Shutout?
I think if they
This week, I
sauce
won like
an
40
A-tier
to 3 this week. Maybe I would do it.
Okay.
But
I think if they beat like an A-tier team, but just like by like 6 points, then it's like they're better
Yeah.
than this A-tier team, so they deserve to be better than. And it depends on which A-tier team, I think. But
Yeah.
that's a good question though.
Yeah, but moving on to the Summit and the Spiders, I'll just say I got the Summit here. I think
wow.
the Spiders are gonna have a
Spicy.
tough road trip.
Spicy.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
agree.
think anybody's
Yeah.
taken the tired Oakland Spiders who just played Salt Lake.
Yeah,
Man.
but this next game, the Glory Phoenix, that's a
Yeah.
very interesting game. I'd like to hear which side you guys have because I think we're not gonna have a consensus here.
I have no idea.
I just want to note that this will be hold on. This will be the Glory's second game of the weekend. So I think it's just important to note that they'll be on a back-to-back for this game.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have with that said, and even before that, I have the Phoenix winning this game, but I think it's gonna be close.
I was so bad at predicting last week that I decided to not write down any stats and mostly base this on vibes. And I also had Philly.
I'm gonna take Boston just to be the just to make things interesting. I'm not that high on Philly. I don't know.
Also, they quote tweeted us, so I kind of felt like
They did.
Yeah,
They did.
they did.
I wanted to show a little
But
respect for people who care about us.
Look, Joe, we're DC guys. I mean, I feel a little betrayed, honestly.
I mean,
I'm a
I have the
DC guy,
DC
man.
Blues
It's
winning.
just it's not in my heart to pick a Philly team. But then again, a Boston team. I don't know.
Yeah.
I picked
Not
Ben
huge.
Sadok as my player to watch. I think it really just comes down to like who's going to show up for these games, like who's on their roster. So I'm just going to pick Boston, but that's what I got.
Sam, what about you?
I'm kind of back and forth. I think I'm going to go Phoenix just because, it's their only game of the weekend. That's really the deciding factor for me.
Sure.
It's Boston's first game, though.
No, it's Boston's
It
second.
is also in
That's their
Philly.
second. They're playing
Yeah,
Friday.
they got a Friday, Saturday.
Oh, that's so weird. Okay, tough.
But no, yeah, the what do you call it? The Phoenix have like 12.6. Yeah, they're third in blocks per game. So going up against a team that's on their second game in 2 days, like maybe they might be a step slower, and they get even more blocks, and it doesn't really matter their efficiency if they're getting a ton of blocks, which I think they will.
Boston's away both games too.
Yeah. Moving on to the Union Mechanics. I don't know, y'all. I got the Union here, and I don't think it's relatively close.
I got the Union beating Detroit by more than the Hustle beat the Cannons. That's my take.
Oh,
That's
I
a
don't
fun
have that.
game.
I don't have that, but that would be a good bet. I'm gonna take the Hustle beating the Cannons by more than the Union taking the Mechanics. What about you guys?
I think easily Hustle are just gonna sauce the Cannons. I think if anything, Detroit just played Indianapolis kind of close at home. I mean, they lost by like not that much. So
Yeah.
Union's very untested. I think they'll probably come out with a win, but I don't know if I think Hustle's gonna win by a larger margin, if I had to guess. But Joe, you keep your hot take. I like it.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick, I would choose Hustle too, but I do like the take. And I think Chicago's another team that I think we have them in B now, but they're definitely knocking on the door of A. They're still undefeated. So this matchup might not do it, but they could get there. The Sunday feature.
Yeah. Rematch for the Cascades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for the Aviators to beat them twice in a row after that tight game, and especially on the road this time.
And after playing Portland the day before.
Oh, don't love it, but I gotta go Aviators. I'm on the beat with the Aviators this year. I honestly haven't loved what I've seen out of Seattle, so I'm going Aviators.
Seattle has their win. They can go back to losing many games.
Yeah, they're gonna have
Aviators.
They're on the hangover from that dub last week.
Yeah.
Oh, do we have a surprise guest?
Oh,
Peanut,
that's a
fuck.
dog.
Say
Oh
hi.
shit!
For our audio only, Sam brought his dog
My
to
last
join
dog
the
is
pod.
here.
It's our
Yeah.
second ever guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'll say, Andrew, I'm gonna actually disagree with you. I have the Cascades winning this game. I
Yeah.
think they play the Aviators close last, and I may or may not have my player to watch on the Cascades, and I think they're on the up and up. And it's surprising because when we originally made our first tier list, we talked about the Cascades, and they were 0-5, and you were really trying to like convince me that they're not F tier. So I'm surprised that you don't have them winning this game.
in my heart, I do think that they're gonna win, but I'm going Aviators because I think it makes it more interesting if they win, and I'm gonna be rooting for them anyway. So I want my rooting interest to be aligned.
Okay, fair.
Like,
Has everyone given their take? Are we missing someone?
I don't know if I went. I'll say that I like the Cascades too, which is tough to say, but I thought they looked really good last week, and I don't know. They're adding Tony, the little guy from Washington, so I feel like it's a Aviators on the road. It's sort of Tony Vaneri. It's like a perfect storm of good things for Seattle, so I think they can take it.
All right then. Let's move on. Let's go.
So Boston, DC. This game is going to be a shootout. I was looking at both teams' crazy Huck numbers on offense, and also even crazier, terrible Huck numbers on defense. This should be a fun game to watch. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you were all over this one, Sam. It's probably going to be a big high offense heavy game. Since I've got a player to watch on the Breeze, so I just have all the Breeze like player stats up here, and I mean they've got some crazy completion numbers, some crazy Huck percentage numbers, just all across the board in the team. They're made up of throwers. Boston, same story. It's gonna if you like offense. Don't really know. There was like a tweet that came out. I can't remember who it was, but it was comparing DC's defense last year and this year, and I don't know what they're like, what happened, but it has been like a stark difference over the course of the past 2 years. So, hopefully they can turn around, but it just seems like DC's a offense first team. So yeah, I think you're all over this take. I agree with you. It can be high scoring. I like the Breeze though. I think overall they're a better team.
Yeah, I also agree. I have the Breeze taking this game. I'm wondering if maybe they're gonna try to start focusing more on their defensive side. It just feels kind of like impossible to ignore the issues anymore, and it doesn't feel like they should be this bad of a defensive team. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to be more conscious of it and maybe try to change some things up on their D line. But I mean, yeah, I don't really have the glory being able to stop their offense.
I mean, it's literally going to say exactly what you said. I've got the Breeze taking on the glory this week.
Wow.
Yeah, the crazy thing with the Breeze is like their offensive efficiency with their D line is so good. If they would just get like an average amount of blocks a game, they could have like a really high scoring defense.
It's what's holding them back from S tier.
Definitely. Maybe it's like just a small little kind of average thing that'll course correct over the season, but maybe it is like a real issue. Like their bottom 3 in blocks per game. It's pretty ugly.
Yeah. Well, look at it this way. They've played Empire, which is like blocks are going to be hard to come by. And then Toronto Rush has some sneaky, really good offensive efficiency, really consistent, really low turnovers just across the board in all their games this season. So maybe we have a little bit of that going on. Maybe this is the weekend they go off, get some like big Ds. Maybe that'll be something to watch out for.
So all 4 of us have the Breeze this week?
I think so.
That's a consensus.
Now I'm nervous.
Nah, I'm confident because we're all geniuses.
Yeah, let's go to Empire Rush.
Okay.
So the Rush were like an interesting kind of conversation point in our last tier discussion because we wanted to move them up, but we didn't because they lost and their record's really bad. I want to say the Empire won the last matchup like 31-17 or something horrible like that. So
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
it's a
see a
question
similar
of,
result.
yeah, I don't know if it's a question of who's going to win as much as like, do we think the Rush will look better given how they showed up last week against DC?
Yeah, I think we can kind of like put a handicap on this game and look at the spread, which is -8.5, which is comparable to like, the Mechanics versus the Union, which is 7.5. Do we think the Rush are going to cover 8.5 goals? No, Joe, you shaking your head?
Not.
Okay.
I think
What
so.
about
No,
you, Bailey?
I think the Rush are good, good enough, but I just think the Empire are a lot better.
I think the Rush are going to feel a little more. I mean, it's tough to say this after a loss, but they played the Breeze really well. I think they'll have a little more pep in their step. I think they're feeling good. I think they've learned, like, you've played more games, you've learned more about yourself as a team. You've learned what's worked. I think their offense is clicking. I think they cover 8 points. 8 is a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I don't think they're going to cover 8.5. I think the
All
Empire
right.
has just kind of just been super strong, and I don't see
Yeah.
them slowing down. I mean, they're adding John Randolph this week. Like,
Hey,
I don't know.
don't say any more about that. It's my player to watch.
All right, so moving on, Aviators Nitro. Sam, give us your take on the Aviators and the Nitro.
So obviously this game is all about the Rookie of the Year battle.
100%.
On the one
100%.
side, you have someone who many would consider to be the favorite in Ever Shapiro, and then on the other side you have sort of a surprise with Leandro Marks, who has some decent numbers so far. I will say that for the purposes of saying who's going to win this game, I think the key thing will be the Aviators D-line O, which is currently 4th worst in the league at punching and break opportunities. Like, especially against a team like Nitro that's shown to have a pretty good offense, they may not force a ton of turns, so they're gonna have to punch those in when they can. And I don't know, maybe crossing over Everest to lean more on your Rookie of the Year favorite is a smart move. But
Yeah, I personally have the Nitro winning this game, and the only way that changes is if the Aviators just play Everest more. Like, he needs to be out there on D line. He needs to be out there, get more involved on O line. Like, I just think he's so underutilized. He brings a lot to the team, not only in skill but just in culture. And if they don't switch up their game plan with Everest Shapiro, front runner for Rookie of the Year, the Nitro will just take this game.
Yeah, I think that's an
Totally.
excellent point. Some of Everest's most shining plays so far this year, like namely that huge block that he had, he just like roofed 2 dudes. I mean, they've been while he's been playing defense. Like,
Yeah,
like Everest excels at just hunting discs in the air. He can play off people more than most defenders can, just because he has that air game. And there's dudes who look open and then suddenly like he's able to close in and make plays. So I do think he's underutilized as just like an O-line cutter. I think they need him. I agree, Ryan. Like, I think they need him on the D line. Or he can do both, honestly, like cross him over.
yeah. Man doesn't get tired.
He really doesn't. You can run him, and yeah, I really want to see him show out. And if he gets that chance, I think you can definitely walk away from this game and be like, wow, Everest showed up against, head to head against the other Rookie of the Year kind of darling, And
Is Leandro Marks an O-line player or a D-line player?
He's O-line.
He's mostly
Put
O-line.
Everest on Marks, shut him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
mean,
what everyone wants
honestly,
to see.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the Nitro, they want to throw to him, and Everest is so good at baiting throws. He's taller than Leandro. Leandro's probably going to be wearing shades, so it's going to be darker for Leandro. And so I feel like this is a very good matchup for Shapiro.
100%.
I would love to see that. I would love to see Everest pull off on some help D and just roof Leandro Marks, and then the world will know,
Who?
I mean, like we
whoever
already
sticks.
know on this pod, like we already know, but then it'll be announced to the world who the front runner really
100%.
is. It'll be unequivocal. So looking forward to that. I've got the Aviators. I think the Nitro are slipping a little bit. That L to the Cascades was not what you want to see, and they did not look great. I've got the
They look
Aviators.
terrible.
Yeah.
I've got the Aviators winning this game. I think it'll be close though, but I do think the Aviators, especially on their first night of a back-to-back, I think that they'll come out really strong. Whether they can keep that in the second game, I think is a little bit more questionable, but the Aviators didn't play this last week. They're a little bit rested. I feel like they can come out and win this one.
Yeah, I picked Seattle in the other one, so I'm going to give the Aviators this one.
Okay.
And they're getting back Aaron Weaver. Is that right?
Yeah, huge follower of the pod.
Huge follower, huge player for the Aviators in years past. So I think it'll change a lot of things for them.
Yeah, I've got the Nitro winning this game. Like I said
Aviators
before.
hater.
No,
Wow.
it's strictly based on the fact that they don't play Everett Shapiro enough. If they change their game plan, which they will not, they will win this game. But I don't see them doing that. I see him sitting in the deep space on O-line, and I see him not having an impact. And I think the Nitro win because of that.
I will say, if the Nitro win, it's certainly because Everett Shapiro wasn't played enough.
100%.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would argue that. All right, let's go to our last key game on this slide, which is Carolina versus Austin. These teams met a couple weeks ago, and Austin lost by just a couple points, but it was actually a really good game. And Austin was up early, and Jake Radak looked really good. Yeah, what do you guys think of this matchup this time around?
God,
This is a
I
fun
hope
one.
the Flyers lose.
Yeah, this is a huge matchup. Where do we currently have the Soul in our tiers? Are they still in the B tier?
I think to be.
So
Wow.
Play yourself into the A tier, Soul.
I've got an upset. I do have the Soul winning this game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
I want the Soul winning this game. But I don't have them. I have the Flyers winning this game. But if the Soul wins this game, does that change? Like, we have to rethink our tiers a lot. If the Flyers lose, are they out of S tier? If the Soul beats an S tier team, I think that automatically moves them to the A tier.
Definitely.
Yeah, this game is definitely a game to watch. We'll get to our must game to watch, but I think a lot of people should tune into this one.
Yeah, this is a big game. I just can't. I have no reason to pick against the Flyers right now. So I'm gonna take them. Like if I had my money on the line, I would go Flyers. I'm trying to pull up the roster. Like who are they bringing to Austin? Like I think that's a big. I really, really want to pick the upset. Maybe depending on what that roster looks like. We'll see.
This is a back-to-back game also for the Flyers.
This is their second game.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna pick against the Flyers until I have a better reason to. But
Flyers have a bunch of players listed as out.
The Flyers do.
Trevor Lynch is going to be missing, and
Yeah,
Michael Lee. Those are the two names I recognize. And Anders, but he
has an injury.
He tore his ACL.
Mark Rovner is out. Player Pierce, Andrew Vandenberg, Matthew McKnight.
Is Player Pierce
McKnight.
that guy's name?
Dylan Hawk. Yeah, that's his actual name.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
They're just so the thing with thing with other S tier teams, or just even like teams that we had in the S tier that moved down, or just like really good A tier teams like that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, all of them are more fun to watch than the Flyers. I feel like they're just so good. They're so clean. They just don't really make any mistakes. They just kind of work it up the field and they win like every game. And it's just like, so whatever, I'm just like, whatever, I'm not like super compelled to watch any of their games, unless there's a team I'm really rooting for. So I hate that they're so good, but they're so good, Yeah, I mean that's all I got.
I'm pretty tired of North Carolina Frisbee.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
100%.
Why are they so good?
It's crazy. All right, game of the week 6.
Let's go.
Indianapolis Alley Cats versus Minnesota Wind Chill.
What a matchup.
Yeah, there are a lot of great
What a
games this week
matchup.
as we went over, but this one people really called into question our Alley Cats in the A tier decision. So I figured we should highlight them a little bit.
I mean,
the Alley Cats don't get a ton of time to be talked about on this podcast, so it's time to
and
finally give
there's a
them some
reason that
attention.
we have a podcast and they don't. So
Yeah,
Exactly. Leave it to the pros. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so jumping into key stats, I've highlighted in green the one that's better. I put in red font if it was a bottom 5 in the league, because Minnesota's Huck numbers are atrocious.
It's an
And
ugly
maybe
brand of
that's
ultimate.
maybe that's like a weather thing, like a Minnesota thing. I don't know. But Joe, what do you have for this game statistic wise?
So I don't want Ryan to get mad again. I do want to talk about the indoor arena, which is, maybe why the Huck numbers are a little bit different, but that doesn't really excuse bottom 5 in the league in Huck percentage or Hucks, per game. But I also want to point out that the Alley Cats, despite, they play inside, but their opponents also play inside when they play at Indy, and they still only give up the 9th fewest Hucks in the league per game. And they are the 4th highest in Hucks, which, 4th highest in Hucks makes sense, but giving up the 9th fewest, I feel like is pretty impressive. Speaks to their defense. They've had 2 home games and 2 away games. So, yes, they get 10 Hucks per game, but 2 of these games were at home and 2 of them were away. Another thing that really stuck out to me was that the Alley Cats only turned it over 13 times a game. And they force 18.25 turnovers per game. And so, again, you're probably going to have fewer turnovers if you're playing inside, right? You're turning it over 13 times, which by itself probably isn't the most helpful stat. But if you're forcing 18.25, I do think that comparison is an impressive stat. Also, just to compare to Mini, they force 22 turnovers per game and they turn it over 20 times per game. So, yeah, I don't know. I do think the inside thing inflates some of these stats, but I think the fact that opponent stats aren't hugely inflated speaks pretty well to their defense, and also their defensive, their D-line conversion rate being 71% is pretty impressive. So personally, I feel like the Indy offense is great, but their defense isn't talked about enough. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing, especially against a team who has under 50% for their Hucks. That's just under 50 for their O-line conversion rate too. It's just, I feel like Indy is going to show out on defense in this game.
We have these guys A tier. Oh my gosh. It's crazy to me looking at these stats. I would not have, I would have guessed it would have been a lot more even. Alley Cats have something here, Winchell has something here. It looks very lopsided. I think at the end of the day, oh man, Winchell's only played 3 games, but I mean, they've got the job done. So I don't really know what to make of it. I'm really high on them after beating Madison on the road. But the Alley Cats, I think, are, man, they're just so efficient. They're a really, really solid team, very underrated. And I just do want to throw out, I think they have underrated unis as well. People don't talk about that, but they got some fire uniforms. And how do you feel? How do you feel throwing on a bogus uniform versus a really clean uniform? You know what I mean? They say look good, feel good, play good.
So
maybe there's a little something going on there for the Alley Cats. Yeah, I don't know. Just looking at these stats, I mean, it really, like, if you just like blurt out the logos, you would be like, oh, I'll put my money on the team on the left.
I'll just say, like, we do this every week where we kind of look at the stats, and I don't think stats are that important. And I know, like, numbers, like, oh, if you're getting more goals or more, blah, 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 but like, it's Frisbee. Like, all these guys are good. Like, we're looking at one team has played 4 games, one team has played 3 games, like 30% more games. Like, these stats can change by so many different factors. So I don't know, 94% to 92% on completion percentage. Like, what is that? What is that, like? One more drop, one more throw out of, like, that's 2 more throws out of 100 throws. Like, that doesn't mean that much. I don't know. Stats or something, but
every turnover is
big. But when you're
chance for Indy to score.
Yeah.
So I don't
know.
But yeah, to your point, like, we had a similar stat breakdown last week, and it was the Shred who had the better numbers, and look how that came out. So so why don't we move on to players to watch? So Joe, you mentioned that Keegan North is out and Xavier Payne is out. So those two
Keegan North leads the whole team, but specifically he leads the O-line in scoring, and Xavier Payne is also out and leads the D-line in scoring. So that feels like not a great sign for them, but I don't know. After watching the game last week, it doesn't feel like their offense needs to rely on Keegan North. Like, obviously they're a much better team when he's on the field, but it wasn't like they didn't have good handlers that couldn't move it around without him. I mean, they have, Landry is primed for a big game here, but also Carter Ray. Brett Matzuka was somebody who I really liked watching. He knew all of his throws and his cuts were like 10 yards, and he just knew where to be at all times. And then also Lucas Conares. I don't know how to say his name, but a bunch of really solid handlers who are just good at handler motion. And so I don't think that they have, no offense without Keegan, but it definitely hurts.
Yeah, and also I'll add that Carter Ray, who was my player of the week last week, but didn't actually play, is active as of now. So, I mean, I think the Alley Cats are kind of sneaky deep and have a lot of people who could fill in. And if you look at, like, Keegan North, he's obviously a great player, but he's kind of a turnover machine. Like, I don't know. I think they'll be okay without him. And then, especially on the defensive side, the way the Winchell turn it over, I mean, I'm not too worried about losing Payne either. I think they'll have more chances on defense than usual. So
I think it's probably better that they lost a scoring defender than like a turnover creator.
Yeah, all I have to add here are some of these names are like exceptional. Abe Coffin, Josh Klain,
Snyder,
Josh Klain.
Maybe not Quinn Snyder's not the one. Quinn Snyder's not the one that jumped out to me, but we got Rick Gross. I mean, Xavier Payne is a solid name. These are really solid names.
These Minnesota names. Quinn Snyder is the Utah Jazz's coach's name.
Yeah. That's why
Josh Klain. You have Rocco.
Like Josh Klain has nice shorts.
Oh, he's definitely got some thick thighs.
That's all I'll say on the matter.
Brett Bergmeyer. This doesn't even include Michael Jordan. So
yeah, it's literally a Michael Jordan. I mean, these names are crazy. They're kind of like I don't know, just like NPC names in like a video game. Or just like when you're playing like like 2K or something, and it's like it gets like you're doing the campaign mode, and then all the new like prospects are coming up, and it's just all these fake generated names. And then you're like, oh, Michael Jordan's in there.
Draft pick Rick Gross.
Yeah.
yeah,
for sure.
if we're done with players, I'll move to predictions. I've got the wind speed up there. Got a nice 7 miles per hour.
Okay. Well, the wind
Easy.
speed was wildly inaccurate last time.
Yeah.
It was like literally the opposite.
I guess going left to right, so I'll go first. I have the Alley Cats winning. Again, I'm the highest scoring guy, but maybe I'm just, hoping for that. But I don't know. I kind of see this game turning into like a huck fest. I think the Windchill are happy to huck it, and I think the Alley Cats are really good at hucking it. And if the game does turn out like that, I like Indy in it. Yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, I got the Alley Cats winning, but in a close game, I kind of kept changing my score, mostly based on me thinking about the players who are going to be out, and I feel like with Keegan North out, the Alley Cats are not going to play as fast as they normally do, which is they have a very fast offense, but I think they'll be a little bit more methodical. But other than that, I still think the Alley Cats pull it out.
I'm, especially after looking at the stats, I picked the wind chill. I'm going to stick with my pick because the wind chill, as ugly as some of those stats looked, they figure it out. They find a way to get it done. This is at Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're in their own element. The Alley Cats are coming out. They're used to that, indoor stadium. And then I think if you're talking a slop fest, I think Minnesota is like just licking their chops because they love a good slop fest. So I think you've got that going on. And then my like really dumb like Skip Bayless-y kind of take on this game, if you guys want some of that, is the Alley Cats were going to beat Madison, and then they were up by 5 and they choked it away. And I think you look at the wind chill, you look at Madison, these are kind of, I don't know, as like name brand as you can get for the AUDL, in this very young league. But to me, those franchises like are more known. I think the Alley Cats, maybe there's like some kind of big brother situation. You go in and you're like, oh gosh, we have to play like the wind chill. It doesn't matter what the team is or what the roster is that year, but you're going in on the road. You're going into like play this team, and you're kind of like, maybe you're a little extra nerve. There's a little extra nerves there because you're like, I don't know, like, they're expected to win or something. So, because I don't know, they kind of choked the game away against Madison, and Madison is like, a historically very good franchise in the AUDL. So, you could turn it the other way. Maybe they got something to prove, and maybe they're like, let's just go and like crush these guys and show the league like that we're really all that, and that we are the A-tier team that the Ringer That podcast has been saying we are. You could spin it both ways, but I'm going wind chill at home, 22-21 slop fest.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. I've got the wind chill 22-21. I think, chance of showers. I just think we've been too high on the Alley Cats, and I think the wind chill are just kind of showing who's boss. And if I had to say if my prediction was wrong, I think, the wind chill win by more than 2, maybe more than 3. Hot take there, but I think that's what we're going to see.
I like
we're going to see the wind chill take it to the Alley Cats.
Now we've got our players to watch. So these are 4 players who are going to be open this week.
They're all going to be so
take
open.
It away. Yeah, take it away, Andrew.
All right. So we're all about honesty on this podcast. I didn't have a ton of time. I got a lot of stuff going on. Had to do 2 moves this week. So I'm just thinking, what's my player to watch going to be? Let me think of a player that I know. And I know, some DC players a little bit better. Zach Norbaum. I just thought of his name. I did have a chance to look over his stats. I mean, what do you want to know? Zach Norbaum's got, he's on the O-line, 99 completion percentage with 1,178 throwing yards, or just total yards. He's out there. He's like, the offense is running through him. Daniel Cohen on Twitter yesterday kind of highlighted something that he was doing, how he was kind of punishing teams that were trying to switch off of him and just like finding maybe not obvious spaces to get open, but like, he's just a super smart player. He's always thinking like one step ahead, and he just has a really good field vision. Just having watched him play, even just this season, it's definitely been evident there. He's been a mainstay on the Breeze for a few years. And just any given game, just watch Zach Norbaum, watch him play. I mean, if you're a handler, just watch how this dude plays, because, you could only hope to do what this guy does on a Frisbee field. I played against his little brothers in high school. He coached my YCC team like 7 years ago. So shout out to that. But he's a great dude, and definitely watch him this weekend. If you're going to tune into the Breeze game, there's maybe he gets a little overshadowed by some of the other, handlers there, but no, dude's this total stud, prototypical handler. He's gonna go out and do what he does and have a great game this week for sure, or 2 games, or however many games they're playing, whatever. He's gonna be good.
This one.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
This one.
All right. Yeah, I love it. That's that Friday game against Boston. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching that. I'll go to my guy, who is a Philadelphia Phoenix, Greg Martin. He's one of their O-line cutters. He's got 19 goals on the year, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 7 hockey assists. His passing numbers aren't super great. That's not really his game. But the one thing about this guy is he is open. So in their last game against Ottawa,
we like that.
Yeah, we like that. You might have seen about his last game against Ottawa. He set the AUDL single game record for receiving yards with 658.
Wow.
Oh.
He gets open.
He is
so
open, man.
Like,
wow.
I don't know, against a Boston team that'll be on their second game, maybe some tired legs, like this dude can get open deep, and I expect to see him do it a lot again this week.
Man, talk about open. He's putting us to shame.
He's open.
We should have him on. Tell us what it's like.
What it's like to be that open.
Yeah, he can just take over as host, because I mean,
honestly. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
That pick.
Yeah, my player is Tariq Hughes, and I'm gonna apologize if I pronounced your last name incorrectly. Just right off the bat, I just want to apologize. But I was looking at some guys, or his first name. I think it's Tariq. But yeah, I was looking at some guys, and this guy kind of came across my radar. I was indecisive between him and his teammate Drew Swanson. But talk about like players with stats. Tariq is 3rd in the league in plus minus per game, and he's 3rd in the league and he's 2nd in the league in blocks per game, only behind Drew Swanson, and he's 2nd in the league in total blocks in the season, also only behind Drew Swanson. So you're thinking, Ryan, why didn't you pick Drew Swanson? Like, their stats are very similar. They're both putting up 8+ goals. They both have 7+ assists. So why did you pick Tariq over Drew Swanson? Well, on Tariq's player profile, he has a fun fact. His fun fact is that he can ride a unicycle, which is pretty fun.
Damn.
Not just those stats, but throwing wise, Tariq has a 75% huck percentage. And he's 2nd on his team for huck percentage. And Joe, I know you like huck percentage.
I love percentage.
2nd on his team in huck percentage for players who have thrown 5+ hucks. There's, the couple players on his team with 100%, but they've only thrown, 2 hucks. So not a big sample size. He's got a 91% completion percentage, and he also has over 1,000 yards receiving. So he really can do it all. My favorite stat about him is really the blocks, like 2nd in the league with blocks. And I mean, this guy's just all around stud. So great player to watch. Also, you know me, I love smiles. Look at that guy smile. Like, come on. That guy's great. He's handsome. So, he's gonna be great on the field, but also if they zoom in on a close up, like, great player to watch. So that's my guy, Tariq.
Great pick, Ryan. I had not heard of him. Maybe I had heard of him, but solid pick there. Didn't know how.
Yeah, and they're playing the Aviators, and we talked about that game a bunch. I think he's gonna play a huge role in that game, and I have the Cascades beating the Aviators, so he's got to have a good game for the Cascades to get a win out of that one.
All right.
Well said.
Love that.
Well,
Shall we move on?
I've got a pretty obvious player to choose. I just kind of felt like we should talk about it. John Randolph will be joining the Empire. Today is his seasonal debut. Or this week will be his seasonal debut. He just won the 2022 Callahan coming out of Brown. Has lots and lots of accolades. He won the D1 title with Brown, with Mac Hecht on that team too. I think Hecht just said some very nice words about him, saying he was like one of the most deserving Callahan winners in recent memory, something like that. And I mean, honestly, it's true. He's phenomenal to watch. He's the way that he cuts, the way that he defends is pretty impressive. And while this is his season debut, he has played a couple seasons in 2017 and 2018. So when he was 19 and 20, I mean, his stats are crazy. He, as a 19-year-old, he played 13 games with Seattle. He had 16 assists and 19 goals and 20 hockey assists. On top of that, he had a plus 28 in 13 games, which is good. But then the next year, he only played 5 games. He had a plus 15 with 10 assists, 8 goals, and 11 hockey assists. So, even as a teenager in the AUDL, he was dominating. And so, I'm pretty excited to see him now 4 years later playing again. And I mean, on the Empire, like, what else could he ask for? So I don't know what else can be said about him that hasn't already, but I think he's definitely a player to watch at least this week for his
100%.
His debut.
I think the only thing you forgot, Joe, is he's also got a great smile. I mean, look at
He does have a great smile.
He's got a great
smile. Big muscles.
Oh my God, I'm staring at his biceps. I wish I had those biceps.
He's infuriatingly handsome and good at Frisbee, which is like, I love the dudes who are like ugly as hell, but they're like some of the best players, like because like I can accept that, but like,
if you're like name a few, like Andrew Lewis, Sam Butler,
right?
I won't name any names, but you know who you are. But if you're like just dumb, if you're just dumb, handsome, and like really good at Frisbee, I'm like, I'm seething with jealousy.
Fuck you, Kai Deversala.
Yeah, it's like I can't sleep at night, So yeah, those are the kinds of players that just keep me up at night. He's I didn't realize like those numbers, Joe. I'm glad you dug those up, because my question was going to be like, how is he going to look on an AUDL team that's already pretty star-studded? How does he kind of maybe fall back into a role, that he's really not used to doing? He's used to having the whole system run around him, on Brown running their dominator, as we all, got to see at nationals the past, year, in the fall and in the spring. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my question, is like, how does he fit in on this like already really star-studded lineup? Can he play that role? Is he going to be kind of quiet on a team with some other like huge studs, or is he just like amazing and he's going to go out and play super well, which is probably going to be the case?
Probably not.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's bet on that.
Any closing thoughts? I think we're under an hour this time, so nice.
Damn, impressive.
I'm seeing Growlers in the A tier, and I need to. They're not playing this week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, that's an interesting one, because like I know originally Ryan and I are the ones who put them there, and I think I was an advocate for putting them in the A tier, but I need to see them play some more games. They look a little out of place in that A tier. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure. I think the big teams to watch this week will probably be Boston, I would say, and maybe Austin as well. Those are the two I think who could jump up to A with good performances.
I think for sure the Soul, if they win the game against Raleigh, I think, or not Raleigh, sorry, Carolina, I think they obviously make A tier.
Instant
huge.
A tier. The Hustle aren't gonna like. I mean, I don't know, if they bagel the Cannons, we have to put them in S tier. It's gonna be tough, like just with their matchup, to have them move up, but I think I don't know if we've
I
been
agree.
talking about them enough. I don't know if we've been really respecting them enough, but they're a really good team.
They need to play teams other than the Tampa Bay Cannons. Like if they
Yeah.
bagel the Cannons, S tier. Like I'm
Yeah.
cool with that. If it's 40 to if they cover the over and bagel them, oh, that'd be amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to that one dude who was in our replies on Twitter who is we tweeted our tier list and he was like, I just don't want to see Detroit in the F tier. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
He's on the mechanics and he's like, I don't want to be F tier anymore.
Yeah, it's like, just please don't let me be F tier. And I was
God.
like, sorry, buddy. I don't know. We
If
did this
you're-
last week and we got no takers, but if you've listened this far, DM us. We'd love to have you on.
We should do it at the beginning. Like if you've clicked the link to like listen to the podcast.
Yeah, we need to lower our
you've
standards
gotten
for that.
If you follow us
Sure.
on Twitter, you can come on the pod.
Yeah, final thoughts. If you're on the Hustle or the Union this weekend, you're gonna be I'm open. You're gonna be open all over this
Be
weekend.
open.
Boom.
All right. Well, this has been I'm Open, episode 3.
I'm open.
Episode
So,
3.
thanks for
open.
listening. And
Yeah,
enjoy the games
and
this
watching.
weekend.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
All right.
Peace.
Bye-bye.